we have it on the audio.
Okay.
Llegó el pavo.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. 3, 2,
1. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I know it's been a minute, and I apologize about that. I'm actually going to, if you haven't seen on Instagram yet, for those that don't follow me on Instagram, it is J_vibe. So Jay_VIBE_. Thank you, public school, for teaching me how to spell. But if you haven't seen it yet, please, I would love if you guys could, not only in the comments, but just inbox us, email us, or DM us any questions that you guys want us to cover on the podcast, because we have a lot of topics that we would like to cover, but we also want to hear from you, the viewer. So if you guys can, I would truly appreciate if you guys could do that little favor. But anyways, welcome back. And I appreciate everyone's patience with us, because I know that we've been doing like seasons. I know we have season 1, season 2. We're hoping to be more consistent with it. So just bear with us, guys. We're also learning about podcasts, about YouTube. I suck at technology, but I appreciate Veronica and Jenny, who are part of the crew and are helping us develop what this project is all about. But yeah, today I wanted to cover a topic that I feel like people don't really talk about necessarily. And of course, on the panel today, we have my mom.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Speak up to the mic, Mom.
I did. I said, hi, how's everybody?
My mom, Maria. And of course, La Rubia. Woo-hoo. She gets her own mic, but her mic is hanging. Ooh. Asthma. Yes. And we wanted to touch on the topic of caballos and servidores, right? And a little bit of definition. It's going to be a short episode, this episode, guys. So for those that enjoy short episodes, welcome. For those that want longer ones, in the future. But kind of giving you guys like our versions of what is a caballo, what is a servidor, because I feel like a lot of times in at least 21 division, and as well as in Ocha, because some people call that those who mount spirit caballos in Ocha as well. Not every house has different vocabulary. But what is a caballo? So a caballo is a medium. It's another word of saying medium, in particular in 21 division. The reason why I believe the elders use the term caballos is because we are the horseman for the spirit that is riding us. So similar to wild horses, say if you ever see a wild horse out in nature, I think that typically if you will try to ride them, they will go wild, right? And they'll like kick, and they'll maybe like, or like whatever, or scream or what have you, until they get used to or get domesticated, I guess, until they're used to being ridden. Which is why a lot of times if you're new to being a medium, or when you look at or when you see mediums and you see the shaking, the calor frio, the movements that the body does, and people always go like, what's going on? Some people maybe even think it may look demonic or possession, but it's not. It's just that the body's getting used and that spirit is trying to settle and sit on its horse. So that's a caballo. That's my definition of a caballo. La Rubia, do you want to share your definition of a caballo?
No, I think you probably touched on it perfectly. I wouldn't even know what to add. I feel like there's that one movie that we saw. I'm trying to remember the name. It was the one that was made, I think, in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
It's that black and white movie of the woman in Haiti, where it's the first documented version
yes.
of caballos.
Yes.
And voodoo.
Yes, and actually the producer of that one actually got initiated. Are you talking about that one?
Yes.
And
Yes.
he's a famous Ogan, and he passed recently. But I would get back to you guys before the episode and touch on that.
Yes.
But yeah.
But yes, and they said, I want to say perfectly, just as you did, what that level of mystery of like the spirit coming in and it being haywire, but then through time it somewhat settles.
Yeah, no, completely. I definitely agree with Mom.
No, I have nothing to add to that. It was explained exactly the way I would have explained it. Yeah.
Cool. I guess the other thing though too, that I want to add when it comes to the caballos is that we all look different. We have similarities, but we all look different. Do you want to touch on any like of differences that or
Yeah.
that topic?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's perfect because, in reality, it mixes with you.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be some
That
differences.
funnel. Yes.
There
yes.
is some exactly. It's like, y- you can take strawberries from one tree and strawberries from another tree, and they can taste different, but they're
Mm-hmm.
still strawberries.
Yep.
Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? But it's the materia is still there, but el caballo gives it a different flavor. But there's always something that is the same.
Yeah.
So it's like there's some similarities and some differences both at the same time. It's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah, and
in that aspect.
I completely agree, and that's why it's called mystery, right? Or the misterios. And I did like the way that, because I completely forgot about that too. I'm not gonna lie, that it is that funnel. I always say, what is that tool that we use in the kitchen?
Oh,
yeah.
the seed.
The strainer.
Yeah.
Yes, the strainer. I'm not good at English or Spanish
Yes.
or any language. So no, it's the strainer, and I always say that's the way that I try to describe it when it comes to mediumships is that we're all different strainers. Some of us have our holes more open or wider. Some of them are smaller or tighter. Um, no pun intended.
Yeah.
No pun intended. We're
No,
keeping it spiritual, everyone. But similar to like when you pass food over, sometimes food falls, quicker or slower depending on the size of that strainer. So, and that's where people I feel like always get like conflicted or upset.
Right, because that would actually explain why, you know, it's different for everybody. Because sometimes they could strain and more could go into that body, and sometimes just a little bit that's going into the body. You know, and that's
Yeah.
why you say, "Oh my God, it's different in that other person," but it's
Yeah.
really not. It is and it isn't. It's
Yeah.
still like there's a spirit there, but they're
Yeah.
doing it in a different manner. Yeah, depending who it is, personality is another part of it that also takes place.
Mm-hmm.
Your personality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
There's something of you that's always
That
gonna
stays.
be there.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, and I think that we were touching on that earlier, on that every medium or every caballo is gonna bring their own essence
Yeah.
to it,
Yeah.
and
that
their
flow.
own don, their own
Yes.
Gracias, misericordia.
their own light,
Their own
to
sazón.
exactly. So I mean, and it's not right, it's not wrong,
No.
it's just different.
And but that's the problem though, because people say it has to be done this way. It cannot be done another way. And I think because of that, then we're trying to form spirits, and we can't form spirits. We gotta let spirits flow through us.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where you get, this argument that people always like. Well, like I've seen. In particular, I seen Candelo, and when Candelo has come down before in the past, maybe he's more angrier versus through this caballo, he's a little bit more lighter or more happy. I've seen Anaisa, and Anaisa likes to, through this caballo, likes to smoke more versus through this caballo doesn't like to smoke as much, right? Because there's different vueltas of that spirit, different avatars of that spirit.
Exact. That's the other piece of it too. Yeah, is all the different puntos that you see of that spirit.
And going on into puntos too, because I feel like it could be something again that people don't realize is that we're all the same strawberries, right? We're all strawberries, but we all have those different puntos. So like versus if you're mounting Belie Belcan or Vive Belie or Candelo Serife versus Candelo La Siete Espina or Anaisa Pie versus like Anaisa Basico. All these, they all have different avatars, and then they have assessors. I think the word is in English. And people got to understand that too. Assessors are those spirits that assist the spirit, the loi, and they'll come down for that loi if that loi isn't coming down. But it's this concept is actually very interesting, and it's one that I know I'm gonna get heat on, but bring the heat, because people don't realize that sometimes when you mount a loi, it may not be the loi, but they'll call themselves the loi because they work for that loi. Pero quizá el loi no puede entrar porque maybe the loi, sorry, let me speak English. The loi maybe can't come in maybe because he's busy elsewhere with another caballo, because sometimes you share a loi with somebody else. a lot of times. So your assessors could also be your ancestors that work with that law. Say, for example, you have like in particular my grandmother, who she used to work with Gede a lot. Say if Gede, which hasn't happened because for other reasons I'll talk about later, but let's say if Gede is busy, maybe my grandmother will come through as Gede in a sense, and be the mouthpiece of Gede, but it's not Gede. Have you ever heard about that?
No, that's an interesting concept. I
Yeah.
haven't heard about it, but that's, I mean, that's the thing. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so
it's
true.
los misterios. So you have to understand that it's so complex and so multi-layered that would be unjust for us to say that it's one specific way.
Exactly. And that we have it all figured out.
And that we have it all figured out. Exactly. 100% right.
Exactly, because everybody wants to figure out exactly how it's working, what's happening, and this been going on for so many years. So who are we to say that we're gonna try to break this down into pieces and figure out exactly what's going on? We're never gonna know.
And I think that's part of the problem, though, is the fact that people, in particular in the Western hemisphere, I think that's what, right? That's what people say. Like, over here, United States. I'm from here too, so I can say that. Like, we try to not only understand everything, but like for that we can understand it more, because I feel like how my sister always says, we come from a Western way of thinking in school, where it's like they show us A plus B equals C, right? So because of that, we try to understand spirit more without realizing it's not about understanding them. I don't know what, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what the not the meaning, but like I don't know what the whole purpose is, because but I know it's not understanding it. Do you know what I mean? It's about just letting it flow naturally, letting it come down the way it's supposed to come down, letting it be uniquely you, let it mix and mesh with who you are, with what you are.
Yes.
But yes, going back to assessors, it could be your ancestors that are coming through as a mouthpiece for that spirit. But that's a whole other topic that we talk about in a different episode, because it does get a little complex. That's like really like deep concepts of like mediumship, and we were talking earlier about Alan Kardec, so like the Alan Kardecian of it all as well, which comes to play a lot in Espiritismo and even in 21 Division. But I wanted to be clear, because I wanted to talk about not the differences, but more so the similarities, because I hate when people like to differentiate things and not combine or assimilate two things. But I did want to talk about the fact that we have servidores and caballos. So now, what is a servidor? So, La Rubia, what can you tell us about servidores?
So, and again, this was a topic that we were talking about as well. So, and I don't want to take your words from what you were
Nah.
saying, but earlier, the differences is so there's a lot of slices to this. A servidor doesn't have to be baptized,
Yeah, that's true too.
but a servidor can be baptized.
Yes, they can.
A servidor can be a caballo,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you were saying.
Yeah.
But not necessarily a servidor has to be a caballo.
Yeah.
So a caballo could be a servidor
you
doesn't
go.
have to be the caballo.
There
There you
you
go.
go.
That's
That's what
where
it was.
I
Yeah.
spit it out finally. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a servidor, a servicer.
Yes.
You service, you take care of them, you service them, you service the religion, you attend to them. You could also attend to them without there being a caballo present, just in your own home, on your own. You could attend to them when there's a caballo present. That's another way as well. There's so many different ways that you can do it, but essentially, you don't have to have a massive altar either to be a servidor.
No, not at all.
So, there's aspects. I mean, and I think I got that right. But yeah,
At least in my truth, I think you got that
Yeah,
right, because
yeah.
everyone has their own version of the truth. But no, because it's completely that exactly what we were saying earlier, which is, every caballo is a servidor, right? So every medium is of servitude, but not every servitude is not a caballo. And I'm trying to figure out the English word for servidor, to be of service.
To be of service, let's go with that.
Yeah.
this is where Google comes in handy.
Google,
Okay.
thank you, Google.
Yeah, and the thing is, both of them is a beautiful thing, whether you're a servidor or un caballo. It doesn't mean because you're a caballo, you're going to have more blessings. You know, it's just that you're going to probably serve the community more and do that part of the mounting part. But the blessings, it's a blessing to be involved in this in any which way you are.
Yeah, no,
you know?
completely. Because then people definitely do get into that mindset of, you know, if I do not mount, then I am not at a certain level. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't need to mount. I always tell all the God kids, mounting is not the goal. I don't expect, nor do I want everyone mounting. Like, let's say, for example, in a kitchen, in like a restaurant, you have your head chef, your sous chef, and everyone else that works and helps. And not only in the kitchen, anywhere in life, right?
Yeah.
And in any business, and there's a manager, there's an owner of the business, there's X, Y, and Z, but we all play a part, and no part is bigger than the other one.
No.
There's a beautiful song, and I'm going to butcher this, but there's a beautiful song by the Prince of Egypt where Look Through Heaven's Eyes. And there's a line that goes that the stone in the bottom, no, the stone on the top of the pyramid doesn't think it's more important that the stone than the stone that forms the base. Because they both because that's where the stability is coming from the base, you know. So, and I say that to say a lot of times people again get into their mind like, oh, I need to mount, I need to pass spirits in order to be something in this tradition, when it's not the case at all. If anything, being of service not only to the spirit but more importantly to your community or to yourself, to your family, that's what the goal is, in my opinion.
Yeah. And also, I've through the years, I've met a lot of people that, and talking specifically about the 21 divisions, I met a lot of people that were servidores, and some never mounted, but were very much held in high regard of their gifts. They may have had the gift of card reading. They may have had the gift of reading a glass cup. Or they may have had a gift where they would actually listen to the spirits talk to them in real, not as a caballo necessarily.
What do they call like audio something?
Yes.
It's called audio something. Y'all know what we're talking about, right? So don't worry about it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so it's not necessarily. It has to be a specific way, and you can have your don, you can have your luz, very specific to you, and that's a beautiful thing.
It is.
It is, no, and I honestly dislike, and I say this lightly, so you know whatever, but I do dislike when people focus more on the caballos, because I'm like, the majority, not all of us, but the majority of it is very theatrical. Not all of us, but I have seen many of like theatrical stuff, whether it be like people doing stuff that to show that they are mounted, or show that the spirit's there, and you could tell when it's like there's a spirit there, and you could tell when it's like this is someone who is trying to one up.
Yeah.
Or show their power, right? And I think that's where that gray fog happens. That's when ego comes out, and that's where all these things are happening, where it starts to cross. And the reason why I bring this concept up is because I really would like to see a future, at least in any and all traditions, where we focus more on the spiritual concepts on the origin, on being a servidor, and just being a servidor, seeing what your spirit. You, like for example, me, Jay, the spirit of Jay, the spirit of La Rubia, the spirit of Maria could help and do something. Not another spirit coming, and not to diminish the other spirit at all and what they're doing and their blessings and miracles that they have done for all of us. But it's to say, I feel like people forget that we are a spirit in our bodies.
And it starts from there, right?
And what's really interesting, and this is just my perception and what through my experience, for me, I find it to be harder a servidor than a caballo.
Really? That's so interesting. I love
or
that.
harder to be even like a casilla. And
Really?
it's
Oh, you know what? That's another word that we didn't bring up.
Yes.
So that's another
Yeah,
definition.
that's a good one.
So, okay, Mom, what is a
I can
casilla?
see the person that helps the person that's mounting, right?
Yeah.
And you got to be on point on where everything's at, and
You're the manager.
yes, you're the manager.
You are the manager.
Yeah. So I'm Jay's casilla, so I can understand
Yes.
Yeah, that's not
That's
easy.
hard. It's
And
That's really
to
hard.
find a good casilla is also hard
That's
too.
really, really, really hard. Because, and then you also feel when the spirit's around. You also, you know, like you kind of bring them into. So that part of it, as you got to keep everything organized.
So us in
is-
our center, we
yeah.
call it casilla, but for those out there, you guys call it plas, right? Which usually it's a shorter word for aplazamiento. So in our center, because we all got initiated by my grandmother, she used to call it casilla,
Yeah.
right? The reason why is because she didn't like that word plas. She found it diminishing in a sense, right? So they came up with the term casilla. So depending on your house, again, you will hear different terminology. But the casilla, as my mom said, is the right hand person of the caballo or the servidor. It doesn't have to even be someone that mounts. It's just you're the right hand person to help the person when they are working. Whether it be through readings, whether it be through cleanings, whether it be when you're channeling a spirit. And it's the casilla's job, more than the caballo, to pull and call in the spirit. Usually the casilla, which also gets initiated too in their own preparation, it's the casilla's job to, usually the spirit, the way it goes, passes through them first.
Yeah.
Then goes, gracias misericordia, then goes into the servidor or the caballo.
yes.
But yeah, but what are you saying about
Very,
the casilla?
very different roles that
Yeah.
you play,
Yeah.
and
Gracias misericordia.
you know, everything is hard.
So it's hard for you to be, you were saying, more of a servidor or a casilla
Yeah.
versus a caballo. Explain that. Go ahead.
So, interestingly, I find it harder because in the theory that we were just talking about earlier, that you can be a caballo, every caballo is a servidor, but not every servidor is a caballo. So,
yes, ma'am.
taking that and just like thinking about in one sense, and then adding on the layer of also being a casilla, which is another layer of you being a servidor. It's
Yeah.
another element. I think it's very hard to be a servicer because once you start, I don't want to say that you can't stop, but you feel the difference when you stop.
When you don't attend or
When you don't attend.
service.
Exactly. So if you've been called for whatever reason, whether it's through your ancestral line,
Yeah.
whether it's through a problem that life has brought you
Yeah.
to them, whatever the case may be, when you start servicing them and then all of a sudden you stop, it's almost like throwing the car in reverse
Yeah.
while it's driving.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You kind of like,
It's a joke.
it's a jolt. And sometimes it's a little softer and sometimes it's much harder. But nonetheless, when you start again, then you're like, oh,
That's what was
why
missing.
did I
Yeah.
stop?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why did I do that to myself?
Yeah.
So I say that it's hard because consistency sometimes can be hard.
Yeah.
And life happens.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes life will take you out of your routines.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the things that you should continually incorporate into your routine. If you're going to be a servidor, be consistent.
Of course, no, 1,000%. And I think that's the interesting thing too, because like not necessarily attending to your copas, not changing or
Yes.
cleansing your altars, not changing your services for certain spirits, all that is to play too, and that's why and I do agree with that, and I love that analogy of being a servidor is actually harder than being a caballo, because a caballo, and not to diminish anybody during this conversation, but a caballo, you mount, you sit, you work, and the spirit works through you, and of course it tires your body, but a servidor, you are physically having to clean, change services, attend the altar, attend your community, help, be a community member and help the community out, through physical acts, not necessarily spiritual acts. And I think that I like, it's really ringing in my mind, because I never even thought about that and that concept. And of course, it's okay. As I said, life happens, so it's of course to take breaks. I have taken breaks away from the altar. There's a certain way to like tell the altar, hey, I'm taking a break because life is lifing, as we like to say. So
We're human.
we're human. So when life is lifing, it's okay to take a break, but then to get back and to realize that's what I was missing. That's
Yeah,
that
that part.
push,
Yeah, when you get back and you're like, oh, why did I do that to myself? Because you feel like that cleanse after you get right back on it. You're like, oh, this is what I was missing, and I couldn't even like go and do the thing, like, and that's why you got to kind of like push yourself a little bit. Try to give yourself that extra push with the right state of mind, you know, because you don't want to do it in a negative way, right? So you want to make sure you're like positive and just do as much as you can, but try
Amen.
not to ignore it. Like once we got into this path, we have to continue. You know, it's not good for us and for the people around us, because once we're not as light, it bounces off of us, and then we portray it to other people. So that's not a good thing either.
Yeah. And I don't want to make it seem like, a caballo stands separately from a servidor. Obviously, I'm saying that they are the same. They are meant to
the
be
main
together.
project. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're meant to be together.
They're a puzzle.
But sometimes people look at it very independently.
Yes, they do.
And
And one above the other.
exactly. And a caballo should be a servidor. A caballo normally is a servidor.
Yeah.
But the act of servicing them takes discipline. And being a caballo, not that it doesn't take discipline, but it kind of happens naturally.
Yeah.
It happens naturally. There is discipline that comes with it, but it all takes a lot of discipline. It all takes a lot of discipline. But being a caballo, I find it is maybe through the years it's easier.
Yeah, no, definitely through the years, I think it could
Through the
definitely
years.
it could definitely be easier. But even in general, for those people that know how to let go and let God and just submit,
Yeah.
it's definitely easier for sure. And it's in a sense less work on the body, more work on the spirit. Versus a servidor, I feel like it's more work on the body. And that brings me to my next point, which is like, as you said, sometimes when we create these altar spaces, people forget that the main altar is within you, right? Like you are the altar. So if we don't attempt the physical altar that we created, so on the physical altar, where you guys, I feel like all of us sometimes fail to realize, is that we have our hearts, our lungs, our brain, our body is on the altar. So if we don't attend the altar, then we feel stagnant sometimes, and we feel lost because we're forgetting. Oh, Anaisa, that's my heart. Belie, oh, you're my lungs.
Yeah.
Oh, Gede, you're my brain. Which I love you, Gede. But so because of that, we forget that we're putting our altar, we're putting our body, our pieces outside the physical part. So, and I'm saying to go on when it comes to the stagnant, and then we have to physically attend. Our body
Yeah.
physically has to clean. Versus as a caballo, it's all about the spirit. Your spirit has to move to the side for another spirit to come in. So it's more tasking on our spirit, not on our flesh.
Which at times also could be very rough, especially in the beginning. You can come out nauseous,
Yes.
tired, sometimes bruised. Anything could potentially happen. So I don't want to take away the importance
Yeah,
and
no, of
and
course.
the ability, but I think that there is something. I don't want people that don't que no son caballo to think that being a servidor is anything less than.
It
Yeah,
never is.
not
It's
at
all
all,
equal.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
It's
that's the
Yeah.
main point I want to have this.
yeah, it's
episode.
nothing is less than. If anything, I find it extremely beautiful for
It is.
people that are so dedicated and have that ability to service them.
Yes, that's
Amen.
a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Amen. No,
That's the
And
base too, right?
That's the base, and that's the other thing too, is the fact that that's why I wanted to bring up this conversation, because I'm like, these are the topics that people don't necessarily address or talk about, because everyone's talking about mounting, how powerful it is. And it's like, no, being a servidor is powerful. Being a casilla, as you said, helping, assisting, is one of my favorite jobs. I have to say,
So bad at it.
it's
I'm so bad at it. Yo soy la peor casilla.
but you know why?
love
It's
it.
because now you're casillando, which is a new word.
Yep.
Now you're casillando more than before. So now you're learning how to do that part of it too. You know what I mean? But my favorite part was being a casilla, because that's when I learned the most. Was when I watched spirit, when I watched the servidor work, their magic. That's when I learned the most. That's how I grew. And it's the most tasking, but it's the most rewarding.
It is. It is. It's the most rewarding. I don't know. It's so amazing for me. I love it. I really do. It's like I can't even put it in words. I'm trying to find words for it. It's to feel the spirit. When you know the spirit's in the room, you kind of get to feel that sense 1st and know what's going to happen next. It's just to be in that presence and to let your body out also for that. everything for
No,
me.
it's literally like how Agabi said, you're the manager, so you're the director of the orchestra. As a casilla, people don't realize that,
Yeah.
like how important it is. The casilla is directing the music, is directing the movement, the energy, and then it's helping the owner, the
Yeah.
caballo, run the or the servidor run the show. Isn't that
Yeah,
interesting?
that part might be difficult when it's your son, and some things go right or left, or you know what I mean. Things aren't the way you want it to be, and you sometimes may worry. But with time, you get into a better place with that, and know that everything's gonna be okay.
And you find your rhythm.
And you find,
find
your
your
rhythm.
rhythm.
That's it.
You find your rhythm. Sometimes you get taken out of rhythm.
That's okay. You get
Yeah.
right back on.
You get right back
Yeah,
on.
you gotta get right back
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. Well, to close off then this episode, I just wanted to address those vocabulary words. So we have caballo, servidor, and we have casilla. Caballo, right? The medium, the one that is channeling the spirit. And there are different forms of channeling, which we could get more in depth if you guys want. Like I said, reach out to us.
The horseman.
The horseman of the chess game, exactly.
Yes, the horseman.
And then we have the servidor, right? The one who's being of servitude, which I don't want to.
Server.
No, because because when you said the horseman, as far as like you were talking about the chess, I kind of want to call the servidores the pawns, but I don't want people to diminish or think that they're less than, because I feel like the pawns are the most important, because the first pieces to be moved in a chessboard are the pawns, for those that know chess. But I feel like that would be like diminishing that whole concept, right?
No. It would be hard to compare it to a chess game because there's some stronger than others, and you wouldn't want to.
Actually, I'm sorry to interrupt you too.
Yeah.
So that the reason why I bring up the chessboard is because my grandmother was the one, and now I'm sorry because I feel like I'm hearing her. And she said, "It's not the pawn, stupid. That's not what I told you," because she's the one that's described it to me as a chess game. But she said the casillas are the castles, the two pillars that are on
Okay.
either side of the king and queen, right? Versus the caballo or the priest can be either the horse or the king and queen, but in particular the king and queen are the servidores. So that's the way. I don't know why. My grandparents were actually the ones that taught me how to play chess. So that's the way my grandmother broke it down to me, that the casillas are the castles on their side, the pillars, the horsemen are the caballos, are the mediums, and then the king and queens are the servidores, the servidores. And last thing actually I wanted to say before we finish today, I'm sorry everyone, pause 1 second, was just to kind of reference for you guys to understand. It's like when you go to a Catholic church, you have those people in the parish, right? The parishioners. You have those people that are visiting. You have the priest. You have the deacons. You have the altar boys, yeah, or altar girls. You have the nuns, and it's the same way here. The priest would be the caballo, the person who's moving, or the servidor, the person that's moving the spirit through the room to sanctifize the bread and wine, right? Versus the parishioners would also consider to be servidores too. It's just to like kind of explain like that, I guess, breakdown, because I know, like, let's say in the Ocha world, you have the people who have their mano de orula, their guerreros, the implante, right? They did that first step, versus you have those that receive santo. So to receive santo is like priesthood, versus the other ones are, and I don't know terms that well, so I'm gonna butcher it. So don't blame me if I butcher it. But the other ones are the ones that are heading that way per se. So same thing comes with us, where we're all servidores. Some of us head to caballohood, and then some of us head to priesthood. But there are levels to 21 Division 2 is what I'm trying to say. Any last statements from you guys before I close off?
No, that was beautifully said. Yeah, you know.
No.
No.
No. So
No, but I
go
think
ahead.
I
Thank
think
you.
it's
Damn.
it's important. So going back to the vocabulary,
Yeah.
we went caballo, horseman, servidor, servicer, casilla. I wouldn't know how to say. I would say also that is the helper, the manager.
Yeah. So in again going back to aplazamiento, which is why it's called plus, right? So applace, they're the apprentice. Apprentice. That's the word.
Okay.
That's the word, because that's where the word plus comes from. It's a shortened word of aplazamiento, and the apprentice is the one that is later on may move on and develop their own gifts, which happens usually after baptism or after initiation. And in particular in 21 Division, you have your God kids who want to learn, so then they casilla to learn and to grow.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's very important. Yeah, that's why we try to do that a lot too. Like
Mm-hmm.
get everybody to have a chance to see what it's like, almost calling
help.
it like behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
What goes on behind the scenes, so they could get that gift and the blessing within it.
Amen.
Yeah, that's so true.
Amen. But yeah, so those are the four vocabulary words that are new to your dictionary of La Mesa Blanca. Servidor, caballo, oh no, what I said four. Servidor,
Servidor,
caballo,
caballo, casilla.
casilla. Why did I say four?
Do we have a fourth one, guys? Maybe leave it in the comment. Was there a fourth?
Was there a fourth one? Was there? We don't know. Maybe find out next week. No, no. I actually, you know what the fourth one would be that we didn't touch on today? The priest, right? Whether it be the high priestess or the priest, girl or boy, because so similar to how we said, not every caballo is a servidor. Is the same thing, but when we say not every caballo is a priest, and the priests are the ones that get to have the right to do initiations or the right to do certain things within 21 division that are like, that's like the next level type of thing. And then beyond that, and depending on your house, in our house we have the madrina or padrinas of the house, which are usually the elders. So usually the one who is like, let's say we had one, her name was Doña Juanita, but she was what, like 90?
90.
She was
90, yeah.
really old.
she was so after you,
God rest his soul.
yes, may she rest in peace, because she is no longer in this plane, but she's always watching over the center and the other planes. But she was a servidor, caballo, casilla, all those things for many years.
Yeah.
And once you get to a certain time period of doing that and sacrificing yourself for the community, then there's like an initiation or to honor you, and to and we call that the madrina espiritual de la center.
Yeah.
Yeah. The godmother.
Yes.
And I've honestly never seen a godfather. I've only seen godmothers. Like I've only seen
Madrina
the madrina espiritual del centro. But with that being said, those are the vocabulary words. Let us know if there's any other vocabulary words that you guys want us to touch on the comments. Send it to us. Let us know, because we want to help you guys better understand these vocabularies and our truth, not the truth. Because like I said, every house does it differently. But thank you, Maria, Mom.
Thank you.
Mom Maria. Thank you, La Rubia. Rubia.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jay.
And thank you, you, the viewer. Paz y justicia,
Amor y caridad.
luz y progreso, y gracia a la misericordia. Chao.